Tropes are the thread that weaves through every great story, sometimes creating a colored cloth of timeless beauty, and other times a frayed cliche we've seen one too many times. Tropes are why some narratives stay with us forever, but they're also why others feel like reheated leftovers. Hi, I'm Sean Platt, a lifelong storyteller, and today we're diving into the fascinating evolution of tropes. Why some stand the test of time and others fade into cliche. As someone who's built an entire career crafting stories and occasionally breaking their rules, I've seen how a great trope can lift a story to greatness or drag it down to mediocrity. A trope is narrative shorthand and the spice rack of storytelling. Used well, tropes add flavor and depth. Overused, and you've got a dish so bland or overwhelming, it's inedible. It's the knight rescuing the princess, the chosen one discovering their destiny, or the jaded detective solving one last case. Tropes work because they tap into universal ideas. Love, heroism, betrayal, redemption, things we all understand instinctively. Think of tropes as the blueprint of storytelling. They guide the structure, but how you design the house is what makes it memorable. The trick is how those tropes are fleshed out. A trope is like a song everyone knows the tune to, but whether it's a timeless ballad or an overplayed jingle depends on how you sing those notes. A great trope becomes timeless when it's used in a way that feels authentic, surprising, or emotionally resonant. But when it's overused or poorly executed, it becomes a cliche. Predictable, lazy, and forgettable. Some tropes stick around for a reason. They just work. Take the hero's journey. From the Odyssey to Star Wars, this trope has resonated for centuries because it mirrors our own struggles. We all want to see someone rise, fall, and rise again, conquering challenges that we can naturally relate to. The hero's journey is the North Star of storytelling, guiding characters and audiences through the dark forests of fear and the bright fields of triumph. This trope works because it mirrors the human condition, our need to grow, to struggle, and to overcome. More than a story structure, the hero's journey is a reflection of who we are. Enemies to Lovers is storytelling's slow burn, a simmering pot of tension, banter, and growth that boils over into the perfect payoff. When done well, it feels earned, like in Pride or Prejudice or When Harry Met Sally. Then there's the mentor figure. Think Dumbledore, Obi-Wan, or Yoda, if we're double dipping into Star Wars. A great mentor doesn't just teach, they hold up a mirror, reflecting the hero's potential and the lessons they need to learn. But what happens when a trope goes from timeless to tired? It's all about execution. Take The Chosen One. We've seen it 100 times. Well, 1,000 times. A young protagonist learns they're destined to save the world. When it's done right, it's inspiring, like Harry Potter or Katniss Everdeen. But when it's overused, it feels lazy. The Chosen One trope has gone from epic to epidemic. When every character is the chosen one, the stakes feel as generic as prophecy scrawled on a dinner napkin. Or love triangles. Remember when these were fun? Now they're so predictable that we can usually call who the main character will choose by the second chapter. The love triangle has become the rom-com's assembly line cliche, where one suitor is clearly the underdog and the other's only flaw is being too perfect. Tropes become cliches when they're used without thought or innovation. They stop surprising us, and worse, they stop making us feel. The best storytellers don't avoid tropes, they reinvent them. It's like taking a familiar melody and turning it into a remix. You keep the essence, but give it a beat no one saw coming. The reluctant hero is the everyman who steps up, not because they're chosen, but because no one else can. They win us over because they aren't chosen by destiny. They're dragged into it, kicking and screaming. Die Hard's John McClane is my favorite example of this ever. Or how about the damsel in distress? Fortunately, she's finally hanging up her fainting couch, trading it for agency, action, and a rescue plan of her own. Frozen takes the old trope, flips it on its head, and wraps it in a story about the bonds of sisterhood, proving you don't need a prince to save the day. Even the chosen one can feel fresh when their destiny is a double-edged sword that cuts both ways, like the one in Dune. Tropes don't just evolve because of overuse, they change with the times. The lone wolf hero of the 80s was a testosterone-fueled storm, silent, stoic, and just as emotionally unavailable as their action figures. The Terminator and Rambo were built for battle, not therapy. Today's heroes still fight, but they're also allowed to feel, because vulnerability is the new strength. The manic pixie dream girl isn't just a trope, she's a symptom of storytelling that prioritizes male fantasies over female agency, and thankfully, her quirky reign is coming to an end. Tropes are both patterns and tools. When used well, they guide your emotions, build expectations, and create moments of connection. The Matrix uses classic tropes like the mentor and the chosen one, but it sets them in a mind-bending cyberpunk world. The tropes in that story anchor you, so its innovative twists don't feel alienating. Knives Out is a whodunit that hands you the killer up front, then dares you to figure out the why, how, and what's coming next, proving that even the most familiar trope can still cut deep. Great stories don't avoid tropes. They use them as a foundation to build something new. Tropes are the raw clay of storytelling. They can be shaped into timeless sculptures or left as uninspired lumps. It's the sculptor's touch that makes the difference. But like any tool, they're only as good as how you use them. A tired trope can fall flat, but a well-executed one, that's what makes a story timeless. So the next time you roll your eyes at a cliche or fall in love with a classic, ask yourself, what's the secret ingredient that made it work or didn't? And if you're a storyteller, remember, it's not about avoiding tropes, it's about reimagining them to create something that feels alive and fresh and completely unforgettable. Because, as every great storyteller knows, it's not what you use, it's how you use it. What's your favorite trope? Or the one you love to hate? If you want to see how my co-author Catherine Cottam and I played with tropes, check out Plot 147, a story about the power and dangers of storytelling. See you tomorrow.